You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Johnson versus Fortuné.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Ms. Johnson, after years of pain and suffering, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to answer the question your son, Damien, has had all his life. Who is my father? You believe the defendant's deceased brother, Mr. Damien Ellerson, is the answer, and the DNA results will prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Fortuné, you claim your brother cannot be the father because Ms. Johnson has admitted to sleeping with other men. But if today's results prove he is the dad, he would be his only biological child. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Damien Johnson.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
lived for years without knowing who your father is, and today you hope to finally have the truth. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, Ms. Johnson, I'll start with you. Why are you so positive Mr. Ellerson is Damien's biological father?
Damien, he was my first love. I would do anything for him. We were together all the time, and it just, I know in my heart that he is his father.
And you say it was your first love.
Yes.
What was it about him you loved?
Just his energy and his smile. I mean, he was like he didn't have a care in the world.
It makes you emotional to see his picture?
It does, because I'd give anything to have him back. I miss him all the time.
I'll go to you, Ms. Fortuné. How did you find out that he may be the father of Ms. Johnson's son, Damien? How did you find this out?
I found that out through my mother.
Really? What did she say?
She says possibility that Damon have a child. And so they were supposed to get a DNA. It was like, you know, my mom wanted to know, and then my mom didn't want to know because she never came and told us. He was already old enough.
Ms. Johnson, when did you first tell the family that Mr. Ellerson could be Damien's biological father? When did you first share this information?
Like a week after his 13th birthday. And that's because when he was first born, I got assistance from the state, and I gave 2 potential names, and one of them had a DNA test and the other one didn't. He was automatically assumed the father by default, and that was when he was 2 months old.
The second name
Yes.
didn't show up to court?
Yes.
All right.
He waited until a week before his 13th birthday to have a DNA test done at home. Then my son comes home from being at his house for the weekend, and he said, "Mom, my dad stuck a Q-tip in my mouth and said he was checking to see if I had any diseases."
Whoa.
And I said, "No, son, a DNA test is what he did."
So, Damien, I want to ask you this. Since you remember and you told your mom, tell me about that day. You were visiting the man you believe to be your biological father.
The dude that's supposed to be my dad signed my birth certificate. He pretty much was all on a roll like, yeah, we're just checking to see if he had any diseases. Like, I asked him, too. I was like, you know, like, what's going on? He just, we're checking to see if he had any diseases. So later on that day, I ended up going home with him, and then I ended up going home to my mom after he dropped me off. And I told my mom, like, Mom, this doesn't seem right. Like, he took me to doctors to see if I had any diseases. Like, I'm 12 years old. Why would I have any diseases like that, you know? So, like, I was still sick later on that day. I ended up going home, and I just told my mom, like, something about this just doesn't feel right, you know?
And so, Ms. Johnson, you remember that day, and at some point, did you get the results?
Yes, and it came back that he wasn't his.
Oh.
And then he just stopped talking to me. He just, like, left me, just, no dad.
So, Ms. Johnson, that's what leads you to now believe Mr. Ellerson is Damien's biological father.
Yes.
Because the other 2 gentlemen who you thought were are not possibilities.
Right.
So, Damien, what did your mom tell you about Mr. Ellerson?
She told me that she was deeply in love with him, you know, like, they met and they had, you know, sexual intercourse, all that, when around the time I was born, you know, the year 96. So it could be a possibility, but we never really figured it out because, you know, he's deceased. And thinking, like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, it's gonna be so much work trying to figure out if he's really my dad, because you gotta go through so much stuff. But it's like, my mom shows me pictures and everything. I do look like him, you know, and it's out of all the dudes she does show me, he is the one that I do look like. Like,
Out of all of the dudes she shows you. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So when you look at the picture, you feel like you see a resemblance.
yeah.
Did you meet his family?
I met him once when I was 12 or 13, I think. He took me to the park, and
Yeah. You're right. I forgot all about that, yes.
So, Miss Fortuné, what did your mother say to you about this meeting?
She said Ms. Johnson, you know, gave her pictures and stuff, and that he might be my brother's son. So in a way, my mom believed it, kinda, but it was just too emotional. And far as me, kinda, but I don't think so.
So your mother was unable to be here today, but she
Right.
did send a statement to the court. I'd like to read that. The statement reads, "I don't believe my son is the father of this child. I don't remember Ms. Johnson and just met her some years ago when her son was a teenager. She brought him to church for me to see him and told me my son, Damian Ellerson, could be his potential father. He came over and I talked to him for a few hours or so. And then I never seen or heard of him again. I see some parts of my son, but you got to do the DNA in order to find out." That's a statement from Ms. Lethea Murray.
Your Honor, that statement right there is not correct. My son never, to this day, has never met her.
So, but I do want to get to this point. I mean, it seems you have no relationship really with the family, but you named your son Damian right after Mr. Ellerson. That's his name.
Correct. And that's because he was my first love, and he was murdered. I was dating him. We had relations up until he disappeared.
You wasn't dating him. Ms. Johnson, not only that, you slept with two of my cousins.
I slept with one.
Two.
Two.
Oh, so are you testifying that you believe your cousin, not your brother, could be Damian's biological father?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson, you did sleep with Mr. Ellerson's cousin?
Yes, I did.
Well, that cousin is here, and I think we need to hear from him. Jerome? Hello, Mr. Henley.
Hello, Your Honor.
Thank you for joining us today. We are here uncovering a paternity saga, and we are trying to get down to the bottom of who this wonderful young man's father is, because he deserves to know. We've heard testimony that you're Mr. Ellerson's cousin,
I am.
also had a sexual relationship with Ms. Johnson.
I did.
Your cousin, Ms. Fortuné, said that she believes you could in fact be Damian's biological father. What do you say to that?
I mean, myself, I don't believe I am, but I mean, there's always a possibility.
Why don't you believe you are? Do you admit having a sexual relationship with Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I do.
Was the sex protected?
No, it wasn't.
So tell me about your relationship with her.
I mean, at the time, me and my cousin, we were real close. I'm like, every time he was with Misty, I pretty much was with him, so I knew about Misty. But I never looked at Misty as, somebody to be with. It just kind of happened at that point. So once my cousin passed away, she reached out to me, I think, to get some belongings of his, and I was emotional about it too. I went over there, was talking to her just about my cousin, reminiscing, and it just kind of, one thing led to another. And the reason why I wasn't protected because it wasn't planned. It's just something that happened. So.
And so how long did this sexual relationship continue?
During that time, it was just a couple of times. And then I didn't see her for years.
So when did you find out you could potentially be Damien's biological father?
I found out, I can't remember his age, but it was pretty much after she told me about his potential father leaving him. She reached out to me, asked me to come over, to visit or whatever, and she gave me a little bit of the story about how I could possibly be the father, which I was surprised to hear that because we only had, at that time, it was like 2 times.
Just takes once.
It does. So I went over there. I was curious myself, She had us take side-by-side pictures just to do a comparison, which
And this is the picture you took?
Yeah.
Damien, I want to know your reaction from that encounter. What did it feel like for you?
It honestly didn't feel like anything out of the ordinary either to me, but yeah, I remember hanging out and it just never really came to my mind to think about it. Like, he could be my dad. I was going off of what my mom told me, about the other Damien,
Right.
So that's who the only other dude I really thought could be my dad is.
And since being told that Mr. Henley could potentially be your biological father, have you tried to develop a relationship at all with him?
I have not. But at this time, it would be nice to know who my dad is. Everybody else got their dad. Everybody else growing up have their dad there. I don't, So it'd be nice to be able to call somebody dad, It's hard. My mom, growing up, my mom's been my dad, and I've been my own dad, so, it'd be nice. It's rough, but that's why we're here today, to figure it out.
Yes.
Get it out the way.
Yes. We are here today to figure it out. So at this point, we are dealing with 4 possible fathers, 2 of which we have no determination at this point. Ms. Johnson, I believe in this court record, you then told your son there was another possible father.
Yes.
Mr. Slaughter.
Yes.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Mr. Slaughter?
It wasn't no commitment. We'd go over there.
So you basically were having a casual sexual relationship with Mr. Slaughter.
Yes.
And at what point do you tell him that he potentially could be Damien's biological father?
Around the same time that we found out that the DNA test came back that he wasn't the second one. I got a hold of him on Facebook.
Because at this point, you're feeling the pain of the fact that your son has basically just lost the man he believes is his biological father.
He doesn't know who he is anymore. And he deserves to know who he is.
And how did that make you feel as a mother, watching your son have to face that level of pain?
I can't use the word that I really felt like in the courtroom. I raised them, all 3 of my kids, by myself. And for my son not to know where he came from, I can only imagine. But, bottom line, he needs to know where he came from, and that's why we're here.
And that's why we're here.
I told him, I said, what can I say, son? Your mom was a tramp. I was fast then. I can't take it back, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. But he needs to know. I feel in my heart that Damien is his dad, and my son wrestled just like Damien did.
But if you knew my brother was his son, why you could have brought him when he was young to let us know? We could have did a DNA.
As soon as the DNA test came back and I found out that he wasn't that second man's, I reached out and I got a hold of Mr. Henley, and he gave me your mother's information. I called her that very day.
I'm not for sure about that story, honestly.
So what you're saying, Ms. Johnson, is the minute you found out that the second man was not Damien's biological father, because at that point you had convinced yourself, and you all were just living and operating like he was the biological father. But once that test came back, you say you reached out to Miss Fortune's family, Mr. Ellerson's family, to say, look, the man I thought was the father is not the father. Mr. Ellerson could be the father.
Right.
That was during the time when you also had sex with Mr. Henley.
Yes.
But now we've identified Mr. Slaughter. What have you told Damien about Mr. Slaughter?
That I slept with him in the time frame of me getting pregnant.
The window of conception.
Yes.